now.
DMV first warned day for your Friday with flooding rain and gusty conditions. We'll time things out coming up.
Without the tunnels, you would have had approximately 400 million gallons that would have flowed into the river.
A newly finished tunnel likely kept a stretch of northeast DC from flooding, and we're learning there are added benefits from this project.
Keeping school communities informed when tragedy strikes. The bill proposed in Virginia to make sure parents are aware of school-related overdoses.
We're hoping and trusting and praying.
Efforts to make sure a local elementary school stays open. The crucial meeting happening tonight in Prince George's County.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight for DC News Now at 10 on DCW 50. I'm Chris Flanagan.
And I'm Susan Trent in for Thasmin Mahfouz. Let's talk about the weather. We continue to do so as we're looking at another storm. That's
right. Chief Meteorologist Janessa Webb here. And Janessa, the timing for round 2 is so important.
Yeah, really, this is a Friday evening situation, and I know people want to be out and about doing your thing, right? As you go out on Friday night, tomorrow it's a no-go. How about you stay in? We'll walk you through this storm as it starts to flow in across the DMV, and so it's going to be a problem with the heavy rain, again, along with very gusty winds, and the winds this time, they're going to extend into the weekend. Right now, don't be fooled. It looks great across most of the suburbs of D.C. High pressure settled in this afternoon with a lot of sunshine. That's going to fade away pretty soon. Winds coming out of the east about 5 miles per hour, but I am tracking wind gusts up to 55 miles per hour tomorrow with a high wind warning. It's in place for Grant and Garrett County. It does start tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., extending into the 10 p.m. hour of Friday. Advisories from Anne Arundel County down towards southern Maryland, Lexington Park, as well as some sections of Calvert County, so winds are going to start to stir up as well. Also, flood watches now in place because you have a good saturated ground, and this will extend into tomorrow evening for D.C. surrounding counties, and first up will be Northern Virginia tomorrow evening across the region. Timberline area, I know you're a little disappointed with this rain. You have a good snowpack that's currently on the ground, but I do have another storm system that's going to be super helpful to that snow. I'll show you both storms coming up.
All right, Janessa, thanks. We'll see you then. Many in the district are relieved that major flooding did not happen during Tuesday's rainstorm. Tonight, DC Water says its new tunnel here through Northeast appears to be working well. You may remember last August, floodwaters along Rhode Island Avenue poured into a doggy daycare business there, killing 10 dogs. Now, that was in Northeast, right where Rhode Island Avenue crosses underneath the red line. Now, since then, a sewage tunnel stretching for miles was completed. Our Daniel Hamburg joining us from that area live tonight. And Daniel, it appears so far that that tunnel cleared a major hurdle.
Yeah, Chris, this was really the first major test for the Northeast Boundary Tunnel. It's hard to put exactly into words if this really helped with flooding, but what I can tell you is that the water flows down these drains and now into that new tunnel that can hold about 90 million gallons of water. That just this week, it handled a lot more than that. Tuesday's storm brought a lot of rain to the district, but no flooding on Rhode Island Avenue.
I'm very happy and relieved because after the tragedy of what happened with the dogs.
After 10 dogs died at District Dogs in August, DC Water completed its 13-mile-long Northeast Boundary Tunnel a month later. John Lyle with DC Water says its first major test this week was successful.
Our preliminary data shows the tunnel captured about 267 million gallons of combined sewage.
More than the 90 million gallon tunnel can hold at a time, but a great improvement. The reason the tunnel was built is to improve water quality in the Anacostia River.
Without the tunnels, you would have had approximately 400 million gallons that would have flowed into the river.
This week, there was an overflow of only 112 million gallons. Lyle says they're expecting only 2 overflows per year, down from 84.
I don't want to say, for sure that there would have been flooding if it hadn't been for the tunnels, but the indication is that the tunnel system being in operation likely helped mitigate the potential flooding that could have occurred.
Neighbors hope the problems are in the past.
Obviously, especially in this neighborhood, it'd be nice to, have your town working for you. Hopefully it holds up this way.
and Lyle says, again, it's hard to draw conclusions from just one storm or even a couple. They'll have to monitor this problem over time, especially during the summer when we may see some heavier rains. But he says it does seem like some of the flooding was mitigated because that tunnel took in so much water. We're live in Northeast. Daniel Hamburg, DC News Now.
Developing tonight, icy roads may be to blame for a crash that hurt 2 deputies in Loudoun County, Virginia. Investigators say the 2 were clearing another crash in Leesburg when a teen driver ran into them. The deputies were taken to the hospital with serious injuries. The driver was released to his parents. And over in Prince George's County, Maryland, ICE also likely to blame for a bus that overturned, sending 6 people to the hospital. It happened this morning in Marlboro Village. First responders say that the people hurt will be okay.
Well, in the district, Councilmember Brooke Pinto is trying to fold a number of crime legislation proposals into one large public safety package.
So Pinto says this new legislation will do 3 things: focus on increasing prevention, strengthen accountability, and give the city the legal tools to address gun violence, carjackings, and shoplifting rings.
Yeah, as for prevention, the omnibus bill would reinstate D.C. Police's ability to declare drug-free zones in hotspots of crime, install blue light technology and cameras in transit stations, also develop recommendations to increase treatment and accountability for low-level offenses.
When it comes to accountability, Pinto says her bill would enforce harsher penalties for some gun-related crimes and shoplifting, lower the threshold for felony shoplifting crimes from $1,000 to $500, and expand how carjacking is actually defined to be able to better prosecute those cases.
The council must pass and the executive must fund Secure DC. Everyone deserves to feel and be safe in the district. Our residents deserve our immediate action.
The council's Judiciary Committee will vote on this legislative package next Wednesday. You can read much more about this bill and what it plans to accomplish on our website, dcnewsnow.com.
There's a bipartisan effort in Virginia to fight the fentanyl crisis. Nearly 2,500 people in the Commonwealth died of overdose in 2022, and roughly 8 out of 10, which is 80% of those deaths, were due to fentanyl. DC News Now's Max Marcilla joins us live from Wakefield High School in Arlington, where 2 students died of a suspected overdose last year. And Max, talk about the changes that lawmakers are really hoping to make here.
Well, one of them would have to do with how school officials notify parents in the school community of an overdose. That's something we've discussed and heard a lot about in the past few months. If you remember, it was back in November when Governor Youngkin issued an executive order saying that school districts had to notify parents within 24 hours. Well, essentially, the new piece of legislation brought forward, one bill in the House, one bill in the Senate, would put that into law. The 2 patrons of those bills in the Senate, it's Senator Jennifer Carroll Foy from here in Prince William County, and then in the House, it's a delegate from Williamsburg. Essentially, those 2 bills would codify that proposal or that executive order from the governor. It says students and parents would have to be informed of an overdose that occurs anytime on school property, even if it's after school hours or during school activities. And in addition, model guidelines would have to be proposed, created, and put into place. Those guidelines would also include some information on student privacy and making sure that that is maintained even as parents are notified. That's far from the only piece of legislation in the General Assembly already related to the fentanyl crisis. There's a piece of legislation brought forward that would direct the Commonwealth to study potential solutions to the crisis, and then other bills proposed that would require students before 10th grade to take some sort of course on reversing opioid overdoses. Think of Narcan, naloxone. Reporting live in Arlington, Max Marcilla, DC News Now.
All right, a multi-pronged solution in hopes of solving a really horrific epidemic here. New tonight, a federal court will review Maryland's handgun law. Back in November, a 3-judge panel ruled it was unconstitutional for the state to require people to get a license before buying a gun, and that process could take up to 30 days. Maryland's law requiring people to get a special license before buying that handgun was first passed in 2013 following the Sandy Hook school shooting, and it's really not clear right now when the full court will consider this case. Governor Wes Moore issuing a statement tonight on the decision. He says he welcomes the court's decision to rehear this case, and he goes on to say In part, quote, common sense gun laws are vital to my administration's commitment to keeping guns out of the wrong hands and saving lives. We have to do more than offer thoughts and prayers when it comes to addressing gun violence, and I refuse to be a governor that just stands by and attends funerals while our communities continue to be terrorized.